All right, welcome into the Daily Fix. We do it every day, 12 noon Central Standard Time. So thank you for joining us. And as you see there, I am Ron Hughley, host of the Daily Fix, presented by Foolish Club Media, right there in the little box, as always, with that disingenuous smile right there. Steve Serta is in the small box doing his thing. However you're taking us in, however you're listening to us, if you're listening to us on Twitter or X or whatever the hell you call it, we appreciate you. Tell multiple friends. We're trying to reach numbers. I'm just going to be honest with you. And if you're listening to us on YouTube, we appreciate you as well there. And please head to our Foolish Club Media channel on YouTube. Like and subscribe. Please do that. If you do not do so, you are preventing my 3 children from eating. We are the fastest / slowest growing platform on the internet going today. All right. So help us out, like and subscribe on our Foolish Club Media channel. Listen, I'm going to tell you right now, I'm not going to hold you long as normal. A few things to get to. Some of you out there, you might just have to admit. You might have to admit that this may be a tough thing to say, but I'll let you know a little bit later. Some of y'all may be a little sexist. Steve, I don't know. You might be. Maybe you may be one.
How do I start the show?
Yeah, some of you may be a little bit sexist, so that's coming up in a little bit. Also, I feel bad for having to say this, but I cannot help my feelings. I can't help my feelings, so I got to say this about a Chiefs player. But I do want to start here, Steve, and I have been thinking about this. I've been thinking about this, Steve, and I didn't want to say it. I didn't want to throw it out there just yet because it is early. But I can't. I'm having a hard time with this, Steve. I'm having a real hard time, Steve. I'm looking at this thing. If they are able to win, I think honestly this is the toughest game on their schedule because it's on the road. Because I think the Chiefs deal with this often, but that the 49ers are going to be up for this thing, and it's in Santa Clara. And the 49ers are a Super Bowl worthy team, especially when they're healthy. Now, obviously, they don't have everybody back like Christian McCaffrey, but they've got Debo back. They've got Kittle back. They've got some guys back. So this is a tough game. But, Steve, we know the history of Andy Reid coming off a bye week, something like 21-4, something like that, which is insane. And I look at this, Steve, if they're able to find a way to get past this game, if the Chiefs are able to find a way to beat the San Francisco 49ers, about you, there may be some craziness to this, Steve. I'm having a hard time finding losses after this. I sure they can fool around and lose some games, but I'm having a hard time finding losses that where I go into and I really look at it and I'm like, this could be a tough one. I don't want to say 17-0. I'm just saying, Steve, I do think if this thing continues and they get to like 10-0, 11-0, which I think if they get past this one, you're looking at the Raiders. The Bucs is a good team, but it's at home. And it's on Monday Night Football, so they'll be up for that. The Broncos stink. The next one that's tough is at Buffalo, but I still think that the Chiefs are better than that Buffalo team. And then you got the Panthers, Raiders, Chargers at home. The Browns suddenly stink. The Texans is a tough one, but it is at home. The Steelers and Broncos. I'm looking at this, Steve. If they're able to get past the 49ers, I don't like to be this guy, but I do think 17-0 is in play. I'd never like to look at that at 6-0. I know that the Chiefs do weird things, but I do think if they get to like 10, I think they will start to care about this. Then I think there is some build to, let's jump in this. I just looked at the rest of the schedule and how the season is played out. I think we thought maybe Cleveland would be better. I think we thought maybe some other things would be better. I don't know, man. it is hard for me to find losses on this schedule after this 49ers game.
Well, I mean, they always play tight games with the Denver Broncos. It doesn't really matter what the personnel is for whatever reason. It's always a close game. And then there's a team that lost to Aiden O'Connell and the Raiders last year because they just decided not to show up for a game. And then I think that Bucs team is really good. I think the Bills always seem to put their best stuff on tape against the Chiefs in the regular season, and the Chiefs hold back and then put their best stuff up against the Bills in the postseason. Like, if we've learned anything about this Chiefs team, it's that they are absolutely going to lose games that they have no business losing. So I am not nowhere near that point, even if they win this week.
Yeah, I think that's been in the past, but I do think but I think it is a lack of them not caring. Or when I say not caring, not giving 100% focus and what they would give. I think if this thing starts to get to 8-0, 9-0, 10-0, I think it becomes a thing, and I think it becomes a hunger thing that this group wants to achieve. And I look at this schedule, Steve. I don't think they have to bring their A game to beat a lot of these teams.
No, it is. It looks much better down the stretch than it did.
You know what I mean? So I just
started.
And the other thing is you say they lose the teams that they have no business losing to, but this defense doesn't. This defense pretty much shows up, and you know what you're going to get from this defense, and they're keeping people under 20 points. This is now a year and a half going on this. Like, they lost. You talked about they lost to Aiden O'Connell. They didn't lose to Aiden O'Connell. They lost to themselves in that game. I mean, they didn't complete a pass in the second, third, and fourth quarters. So I mean, I just I don't know. Like, if they don't get a pick six, I think the Chiefs might win that game. So we'll see. I think their offense is already playing better than that. I just think it's on the table. All right. Listen, I hope I don't sound like an ass when I say this, and if you're believe I am, that's fine. I saw that the Chiefs have designated Clyde Edwards-Helaire to return, and I am happy that they've gotten and he's got himself to a place, Steve, where he feels like he's ready to play. Whatever he was dealing with and battling, it's got to a point where he and the team feel comfortable that he can play and he can suit up. And I'm happy for that because his situation was much bigger than getting on the field. But with that being said, Steve, I don't need to see him actually enter the game. I don't like, and I know Pacheco's injured right now, but Steve, I feel more confident and comfortable with all three of the backs, including the great white hope who has a bit of a fumbling thing sometimes. I feel Kareem Hunt looks like he's turned back the clock. I like what P. Ryan gives you as a third down back, and he's actually gotten the ball and ran it a bit. And to me right now, I think the great white hope is somebody that I feel better about than Clyde. I'm glad that he is in a better place, but Steve, I don't need to see him on the field. It's even with Pacheco out, what they have shown with Kareem, with P. Ryan, and with Carson Steele, like I don't look at Clyde and the Clyde that I remember that we've last seen play and think he needs to jump those guys. So I'm glad that he's back, but I don't like, for me, I don't need to see him mixed in and getting on the field.
I mean, I agree with you. It's just
right.
When you look at the three running backs that they have, I don't know what Clyde brings to the table that's better than any of the things that those guys individually bring to the table. Kareem can do it all. P. Ryan's a great pass catcher, and Carson Steele's a really good short yardage back. Like, I don't think that Clyde's better at any of those individual things than any of the three running backs ahead of him at this point, but it's more of like I think the reason Clyde's still on the team is because he's a locker room guy and the coaching staff just absolutely loves him. So I think it's like a respect thing for the service that he's given the Kansas City Chiefs since they drafted him, if he gets in the mix at all. But I would be shocked if he really actually breaks the rotation at this point.
Hey, be that locker room guy. That's cool. I just don't need to see him on the field. Like for me, I don't need to see any of those other three be inactive for Clyde to come in. You know what I mean? I don't think they need to have 4 backs active. And I don't think, like, to me, Carson Steele, he does more on special teams than what Clyde would do. All right. And I think P. Ryan's a better third down back than he is right now. At least that's the confidence I have right now. So for me, Clyde, man, be that locker room guy, be around the guys. But to me, Clyde shouldn't be on the field unless there's another injury, or even be active unless there is another injury. All right. Last night, sitting up, I'm going back and forth through the WNBA finals and the NLCS. And I'm telling you, boy, that WNBA finals, that was high level basketball, men, women, I don't care who it was, as that thing was coming down the stretch, and the big players, the stars were out, and the way that thing finished, I almost ripped my pants off. You know how I get when and obviously that sounds kind of rough when I'm watching female basketball, but when I get excited about sports, sometimes I got to get free and I just got to get the pants off. And it was fantastic. Sabrina went ahead and ended this thing looking like Steph, looking like Caitlin Clark. This is how this game ended, as the New York Liberty are a game away from winning their first championship.
Fourth quarter of game 3. 4 seconds. Yeah. Ionescu will heave and hit! And hit! Sabrina Ionescu!
Shout out to Ryan Rucco, I believe that's his name, who lost his mind and his voice in the same game. I'm just telling you right now, I think 95% of you, there are some people who are just weirdos who don't like basketball, and that's fine. But 95% of you, if you don't flip that on, if you don't watch that, if you don't look at this and watch the WNBA and the finals and the high level basketball, and you turn it on and you think that, oh, this sucks, I think you're sexist. I'm serious. I think you're sexist. I think there's something else that is going on that's preventing you, because that right there, you go watch that fourth quarter with Breonna Taylor and how she was rolling in and Collier from the Lynx. They were going back and forth. They were down by 15 in this game. And, I mean, Breonna came down. She banged down 2 threes, got a 3-point play. It was high level. If you sit there, turn it on, oh, that's right. You said step back. That's a step back to the logo. Yeah. I wonder how many players outside of Anthony Edwards for the Minnesota Timberwolves can make that shot consistently that Sabrina just knocked down. It is high level. And if you watch that fourth quarter and you're like, this sucks, this isn't good, you are sexist. Or you just don't like basketball.
I am curious, like, what the ratings are like, because all of the, Caitlin Clark hype this season, and then she goes out early. Like, did the ratings tank because of her, or are those fans actually sticking around? All those fans that have come to the WNBA because of her specifically. Because the ratings are awesome for a while, so the ratings are finding it now.
The ratings were going to be a struggle, Steve, just because they've been going up against football a lot, which when their games matter the most, that part stinks. I don't know how they can get around that. Like they had Caitlin Clark's first playoff game in the middle of a Sunday during the football slate. Like you're hurting yourself. Last night was pretty good because they were up against the NLCS. There was no football on, so that was like they're going to play Friday. That's probably a good thing for them. There's not any real football, maybe some college football. So that should have their own stage. But but game 5, the deciding game 5, if it happens, I believe will happen on Sunday. And that's rough. But I like the ratings. I'm just saying, if you flip it on and you watch it and you're like, this isn't good. It's the women thing. That's what it is, because it is good basketball. Like, it is good basketball. I mean, with the exception of them dunking, like it is fantastic basketball. So Hey, look within. I'm telling you, that fourth quarter was something else. Hi, Mom. And Courtney.